We are back at it again here with another video with Invest for Tomorrow. To the first time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel. To all subscribers, welcome back. Here we are with the SPY, the S&P 500 index, going from a dip area here of white with red borders to extreme strength of a rip area, from the dip to the rip of green bars, guys, and coming back up to test the key resistance of 375 and breaking into this channel again. And we're going to talk about what's going on here. But today within the volatility, our SPY bot sent out a bull indicator since 9:05 a.m. And from that moment forward, inflows crossed the midpoint to the upside, continuing with strength towards the bell and after the bell. And within minutes, call options went up 200% plus within the morning's volatility, and you can now gain access to this as well. If you guys want to know about these stocks early on in the pre-market and receive this edge and clarity over the charts with our 42 vision indicators, check out the link down below in the description to the Discord, getting connected to our 42 vision indicator, our bots, and becoming part of our growing community of investors, all looking to learn and grow together by using these resources to maximize in either direction, whether stocks are going up or going down. So here we are with it coming back up towards the resistance of this channel that we've talked about, from 375 to 367. Briefly broke below it yesterday at 364 and today at 362, and everything that it went down, it came back up. And we're going to cover what happened because big news came out today from different Fed members and also within the charts and the inflows versus outflows on multiple time frames. But before we break it all down, I want to share with you guys the home run opportunity that was mentioned this morning over at the Discord. So the home run of the day was spectacular and beyond expectations. And if you guys want to know about these stocks early on in the pre-market and receive this edge and clarity over the charts, check out the link down below in the description to the Discord. And by joining, you'll become part of our growing community of investors, all looking to learn and grow together. So the home run of the day was from our Tesla bot. It sent out a bull indicator since 9:05 a.m. And from that moment forward into the bell and after the bell, there was a continuation of strength on 42 vision. Inflows crossed the midpoint and stayed above, and call options went up 300% plus within hours, guys. If you guys want to receive this clarity and edge over the charts, check out the link down below in the description to the Discord and our 42 vision indicator. We look forward to having you join us, and we strive for opportunities like these every single day. Let's jump into these charts. So here we are with the SPY, the S&P 500 index, having a violent rally to the upside. I mean, everything that it actually lost in the last 3-4 days, it has actually ran right back up to the highs of Tuesday towards the beginning of this week. Very interesting stuff, and all of that happened in one single day. And we're going to talk about what news came out and what's going on within the charts with our bull and bear indicators and inflow versus outflow, which you can now gain access to as well. The link is down below in the description to the 42 vision indicator, getting connected to our bots and becoming part of our growing community of investors, all looking to learn and grow together by using these resources to maximize in either direction, whether stocks are going up or going down within the volatility. And in today's video, I'm going to pull up the inflow versus outflow, which adds that extra layer of confirmation and gives us that edge within the volatility on the charts. So here we are with the SPY, the S&P 500 index, hitting a dip area today, right, as you see there, which is white with red borders, and going all the way up to extreme strength, which is the green bars. If it's your first time here in the channel, white with red borders is what we call the dip area. The last time we hit that was back here on the 14th. Got a bull indicator, full strength on 42 vision, into the rip area. And usually once we hit rip areas, there tends to be a slowdown, right? Right there, it hit a rip area, slow down downwards, rip area, slow down downwards. And the bull and bear indicators and the inflow versus outflow is there to add that extra layer of confirmation of the strength within the moves, right? So we've done a full transition in one single day. Could this continue? Well, we have a few things to look at, right? We're back at the top of the resistance here. 375 is going to be pivotal, right? We do not want to reject that because that's where it's rejected every single time it's trying to bring itself back up. And even on its way up, it was used as support and it barely was able to hold it. Things fell in the past, and here we are with it rejecting 2 times this week. Will today be the 3rd time going into next week? That's the big question mark. So what is it that we need to look at here? First, 375 definitely needs to be broken through for the bulls to continue with strength. And these inflows, right? They crossed back up. They were below the midpoint here towards the end of yesterday. Today in the pre-market, it was picking up and it crossed at the bell, got that bull indicator, went from white with red borders to dark green, and continuation of strength here on the 30-minute. But it wasn't just the 30-minute with strength. The 15-minute had strength as well. We're currently above the midpoint here, and the inflows crossed in the pre-market going into the bell. And then on top of that, we have the 1 hour here to add that confirmation. And we talked about this in yesterday's video. I was going to watch the 1 hour since it was below the midpoint. If it could go from red to green, cross over that midpoint or get closer to it, and it would signify further strength. And based off the history of the chart in the inflows, we've gone as high as 2.8, 8.8, and even towards 14 in the inflows. And here we are at 8.4 with inflows and pushing up higher. Still hasn't slowed down sideways. If not, it is still straight up. I'm going to be watching for that to continue with strength going into Monday, or if it slows down. We definitely want to see this stay above the midpoint. Got that bull indicator, canceled that bear indicator, which we talked about in yesterday's video as well. I emphasized that, and here we are with the 30-minute under a bull indicator and pushing up. Let's talk about the news that came out today, and I'm going to share with you guys the key levels that I'm watching. So here we are with the first article, and it states here, the Fed's rate debate shifts to how and when to slow down. And this is the new talks now, right? Everybody's trying to look for a pivot in the market on any sentiment of a possible pivot or slowdown is going to get euphoric like it did here, like it's done back here, and like it's done every single time it runs. Yet we're still in the bigger picture. If you zoom out here, we put the 1 week in a downtrend, right? In the bigger picture, outflows are still dominating. It is too early to tell. Now, if this turns out to be something that becomes more mainstream, and we also have Jay Powell coming out and talking about this type of dovishness, then it's something to consider and take a little more seriously. But it was Daly that actually came out and stated the time is now to start talking about stepping down. The time is now to start planning for the stepping down. Now, Daly does state that they're not looking at inflation to be slowed down and the rate hikes to be completely stopped. If not, instead of 0.75, let's try 0.5, 0.25. Yet, right now, the whole entire probability of a 0.75 in November is still pretty high, right? And then you have here the official article stating Fed Daly says it's time to start talking about slowing rate hikes. So this could be misconstrued, and the overall market could be reacting and taking this as a dovish pivot or even hopium. And then Daly states here we might find ourselves in a position where the markets have probably priced in 75 basis point increase already. And then they state here that they would also state that people do not take away the thinking that it's going to be 75 forever. And then you come down here and Daly states it's really challenging to step down right now, and their goal is 2%, right? But we're not there yet. So this is where it becomes that gray area, and I'm stating that these statements could be misconstrued or create hopium because they're basically stating here, Daly states we are not there yet to stop. But then she states and adds, the time is now to start talking about stepping down. The time is now to start planning for stepping down. So I think she's just talking ahead of herself and everything going on and what the Fed needs to do. Unless she's right, we'll have to see. The whole entire forward outlook, right, is going to be a big deal now after what Daly has stated, and it's kind of showing where the Fed is thinking of going in November 1st and 2nd policy meeting. That's going to be important. So something to keep in mind, how it's all pivotal. Could we be near the bottom? Who knows? Could it be actually not the bottom? We'll have to see. But right now, this is very dovish from the standpoint of Daly. That doesn't mean that the Fed is ready yet or even thinking about doing this. We need to see Jerome Powell come out and state his statements, right? These are just Daly's thoughts. Now, here we have Yellen, right? Yellen rejects the concern about inflation becoming entrenched. This is something that a lot of people are concerned about and they've been worried about ever since the Fed stated that everything was transitory, and now it seems like it's not. But Yellen came out and dismissed the idea that high inflation is becoming embedded in the US economy, pointing to a more moderate expectation for price gains over the longer haul. And you got to think about it, right? The Fed members are not thinking in small spaces or time. They're thinking about an economy in the long run. So some of the things they state sometimes may not make sense right now, but then years later it can. But right now we're in a situation where even though they state these things, and even if they're correct or not, it just doesn't seem like it. I mean, after stating for a whole year that transitory word, and all of a sudden taking it back and now stating it seems like it's not transitory, that's actually created that situation where the Fed has lost some of its credibility and it's trying its best to maintain it while everything is not going in the direction or moving as quickly as the Fed would want. I mean, to the point that in August of this year, we had month over month inflation data at 0. And since then, we've been hitting 0.1, 0.2, almost seeming like inflation is not going down. We'll have to see, because there is a lagging effect to interest rate hikes, and eventually it will actually start to make an impact over the inflation numbers. I look forward to seeing your thoughts down below. So here we are, right, with the SPY. 375 is critical. That gets broken through. The next resistance is up here at 380, and above 380 we go back up towards 388, 385 area. Now to the downside, if the volatility continues, I'm going to be watching if these inflows stay above the midpoint or if they come back down and cross the midpoint, and then if a bear indicator pops up that cancels this bull indicator, and if the transitions from the rip area back down towards the dip area begin, right? Like it did right here. Moved upwards, hit that rip area, transition back down, confirmation with that bear indicator and outflows cross, and it went all the way down to a dip area, and same thing from the dip area to today's rip area towards the end of the day. I'm going to be watching for that, and not just on the 30-minute, but on the 1 hour and the 15-minute as well. And to the downside, the first support is 370, and below that is now 365. I'm going to be watching those levels very carefully, and if that gets broken through, then I'll be watching 362 to 360. But right now the inflows are above the midpoint. They still have room based off the history of the chart to go higher. Currently sitting at 7.97. The most recent highest point was on October 13th, and it hit highs here of 15. I'm also going to be watching the 1 hour as it continues to push up higher or slow down, and how high could it go, because the most recent one on October 13th, it went to highs there of 14.2.5, and here we are with 8.43. So still has room based off the history of the chart, based off what the charts are showing. Not guaranteed to move exactly the same, but something to keep in mind. And we want to see these resistance and bull and bear indicators continue to hold strong, and these inflows, unless outflows start to begin, and if the midpoint gets crossed, back down, and if bear indicators start to pop up, guys, and those supports that I just mentioned get tested. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.